I was 9 when The Phantom Menace came out in 1999. So I grew up on the Star Wars prequel films. I went to the movies to see all three films, and I was shown the original trilogy as a kid. Other than that, and watching a few episodes of the Clone Wars cartoon when it first came out, I really wasn't much of a Star Wars fan. I was that casual moviegoer that went to go see The Force Awakens when it came out in 2015, and I had no real investment in Star Wars at the time. But even then, I wasn't really a fan of what I saw in The Force Awakens, as it felt like a rehashing of A New Hope, which is kind of the general consensus among Star Wars fans when what I can gather. It wasn't until The Mandalorian came out that I started getting more into Star Wars. At that point, I really became invested in the Star Wars world and wanted to dive further into the franchise. Since then, I've rewatched all the movies, watched every show that's come out on Disney Plus, and started heavily checking out Star Wars TikTok. It wasn't until I decided to sit down and watch the Clone Wars cartoon that I felt like I had really become a Star Wars fan. As I said before, I watched the first season or so when the show first came out on Cartoon Network, but never really stayed with it. I absolutely love the Clone Wars cartoon. Every day I could, I watched more. I fell asleep to it. I really became heavily invested in the Clone Wars era of Star Wars. It was due to this that I then watched the Rebels cartoon, which, in my opinion, doesn't get enough love. I absolutely love Kanan Jarrus. Also, I really enjoyed the Tales of the Jedi show. It was then at this time I started watching more Star Wars YouTube. Channels like Star Wars Theory, Mauler, and A Closer Look became my go to channels to watch. There's even a channel called The Vile Eye that has done some really cool videos analyzing several Star Wars villains. Highly recommend. Now, my favorite way currently to consume Star Wars content has been through Audible. I am really enjoying listening to the audiobook versions of some of these books. By the way, not sponsored. I have like 50 subscribers, so don't worry, this is not a sponsorship or anything like that. Anyway, so I've been really enjoying Audible, audiobooks, whatever. My first Star Wars book was The Labyrinth of Evil because I really liked General Grievous, so I wanted more. Since then, I've read the Revenge of the Sith novelization, which is still the best that I've read, in my opinion. Also, also Dark Disciple, A New Dawn, Shadowhunter, Brotherhood, The Old Republic Revan, and Darth Plagueis. Other than the Revenge of the Sith novelization, I think the Revan book was my favorite. It was so well done with such great characters that it makes me hungry for more Old Republic content. Also, if you're a General Grievous fan like myself, there's a chapter in the Stories of Jedi and Sith book that has a Darth Maul encounter, a vision of General Grievous, and I really enjoyed it. I think my next few books will be something like something Count Dooku related, maybe one of the Thrawn books, and possibly The Force Unleashed. Random thought, but isn't Sam Witwer like absolutely amazing as Maul? Just want to throw that out there. Anyway, it's interesting being a new Star Wars fan. Not only am I navigating all of the content, but all of the opinions within the Star Wars community. As a disclaimer, I guess, I do like things that it seems others don't. While I can agree that the Obi-Wan show wasn't great and had a lot of flaws in it, I think I was just happy to see Ian McGregor back as Obi-Wan, and there were some really cool Darth Vader scenes. I still get a little choked up at the line, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." Is it fan service? Yes. Just like Hayden Christensen's appearance in the Ahsoka show, but it still makes a little girl who liked the prequels even when they came out very happy. Um, and I guess that's what the show and Disney and everything were banking on, that it hit all the nostalgia notes. Side note, again, I kind of liked Obi-Wan hanging out with Leia, but I don't know. I know that a lot of people didn't like that or anything. Again, I thought it was fine. Again, don't like throw too much shade at me, but you know, I rewatched the Obi-Wan show, I didn't mind it at all. The Ahsoka show wasn't terrible in my opinion, but it wasn't great, especially as the episodes went on, and yes, that episode where they're in the worlds in between and it's young Ahsoka, it's like, I get it. I get both sides. It's fan service, um, but I still thought it was well done, and Hayden Christensen, I thought, really did a great job coming back as Anakin Skywalker. Um, and Ray Stevenson was really amazing in it, so that was, like, really sad, um, finding out that he had unfortunately passed away right before the show came out because his character was just amazing, and generally because, you know, for his friends and family, but the Ahsoka show is okay. When they said that you did not need to watch the Rebels show beforehand, I kind of laughed because if you watch that show and you didn't watch Rebels, you would definitely be a little lost. My opinion there. Um, yeah, so I definitely think that while I have found enjoyment in the Star Wars content that others dislike, I think what I can absolutely agree with is that the sequel trilogy is awful. Seriously, the channels that I've mentioned before have done extensive reasons as to why the sequels suck. And I myself have recently done a video on Geek Vibes Nation as to why the sequel trilogy is a waste of talented actors. So I'm not going to go deep into it. I think what sucks about being a new Star Wars fan is getting excited to discover all of this new extensive lore, only to know that everything eventually culminates to such a letdown. Everything prior to the sequel trilogy is the past in Star Wars. This is, after all, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So everything leads up to what we saw in the sequels, and it's just so disappointing. I'm a Game of Thrones fan, and I watched the disappointing 8th season in real time. I can't imagine being a new fan of the show, discovering everything that's awesome about the show, only to discover that it leads up to everything awful about season 8. The only difference is that fans of Game of Thrones can anticipate a better ending in the books. For Star Wars fans, this is it, seemingly. I really doubt Disney would ever retcon the sequels, and even if they did, Carrie Fisher is no longer with us, and they've burned bridges with nearly everyone from the original trilogy. And no, I do not want a Rey movie. Why, Kathleen Kennedy? Why? The biggest hope that we really have, honestly, is like fan fiction, and maybe some books. I don't know. I am almost okay with not concentrating on moving forward. Um, I just want something to do with the old Republic at this point. I kind of want to see more content around the time where the Sith Order was more than just Bane's rule of two. I think that would be pretty cool. And again, as like a complete fan service, I want more General Grievous. That's just me. I understand that there's some fans out there who are hesitant about someone like Dave Filoni taking on more of a creative position because then they are afraid that we're just going to see a lot of the same old characters, especially Ahsoka, who is a beloved character, but I understand people want to see new characters. At this point, I think it just needs to kind of be a nice balance of both. We want to see the old characters that we love respected while also getting new stories. And I think if maybe we balance both of it, it'll be a little better. I don't envy anyone who has to really take on the creative burden that is Star Wars only because they're not George Lucas. So they have different visions, they have different strategies, and it is going to be difficult to please everyone. But I think at this point, as long as people do a better job than what has been done during the sequel trilogy, as well as several of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, I think they'll be better off. Um, I at this point again, I am really enjoying the books, and so I'm happy to kind of forget that the sequel trilogy happened, kind of really ignore some of the shows and just dive a little deeper further into what I've been reading in the books, which a lot of it from what I've gathered is called Legends, and I'm fine with diving deeper into that. But obviously, I want to see more live action stuff. I want to see more animated things. If I'm not mistaken, again, I'm realistically a casual new Star Wars fan. I understand that we're getting a third season of The Bad Batch, and that'll be entertaining to watch, but I think that we just kind of have to sit and wait, and that's fine. Uh, I just, I have no excitement for the upcoming Ray movie, but that's something that they're doing, and that's that. Again, I dive further into it in my other video, so I'm not going to dive too much into what I really think about the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And again, there are much better videos out there on YouTube that go extensively into why these movies suck. But I do want to say, obviously, you like what you like, right? As I mentioned before, there are certain things that I like from the shows that other people don't, and that's fine. I think that everyone's allowed to enjoy what they want to enjoy if they like certain things within the Star Wars realm. If you like the sequel trilogy, I think that's okay too, even though I don't like the sequel trilogy. And even as a new fan, I could see them as incredibly disrespectful to the IP that is Star Wars. I think that if you can like whatever you want to like. So yeah, that's my message. And that is what I think it's like being a new Star Wars fan, just navigating the new content, navigating the old content, as well as navigating what the general consensus is from fans and kind of diving deep into like the lore and all that. So please down below, if you have a book that you want to recommend, please let me know because that has just been my favorite way to consume Star Wars right now. I haven't played many of the video games. I like back in the day, even when I really wasn't into Star Wars, I played the Star Wars Lego games, and those were a lot of fun. And I want to get into The Force Unleashed. I think that's why I really want to then read the book, is because I started playing a little bit of the game. Just got to get back into that more so. But yeah, please recommend video games, books, whatever. I want to hear it all. That'd be really awesome if you could just suggest anything that you want to me. Um, and I got a lot of awesome like feedback from my last video, which I did on GTA 6, the trailer and all that. So I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who actually watched that video and gave it a like or even a dislike and who even disagreed with my thoughts. I think that's fine too. As I say, everyone, just keep it civil. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm just trying to figure out where I even want to take this channel. And I appreciate all of the feedback that people have been giving me. So yeah, again, if you're a Star Wars fan, let me know what you think and all that. Are you a new fan? Are you an old fan? Where do we fall? Do we like the prequels? Do we like the original trilogy? Do you like the sequel trilogy? Let me know. Anyway, again, thank you guys so much. This is Tia, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.